Hi there. Today we're going to make some cinnamon ornaments using cinnamon dough. You can also make a salt dough with a little cinnamon in it with flour to make these, and it's a little lighter color and you can paint on them as well. But we're gonna make this cinnamon dough because it smells nice, and we're making these because they're beautiful decorations and we would like to make them for someone special. We also have a story that we've written. We've read lots of different versions of the gingerbread boy, the gingerbread baby, the gingerbread girl, the gingerbread pirate, the ninja bread man. So we've had a lot of fun with this, and so this would be a great way to save that memory. This recipe will make more than one, so you can make one for yourself. You can make one for a very special person that you would like to give that as a gift to this holiday season. This is a great project to do remotely, and hopefully everybody has the supplies they need. I'll include the recipes at the end for you, so you can choose whichever one, or maybe you'd like to try both. But we're gonna make the cinnamon one. So you're going to need some ground cinnamon, some applesauce, and some white glue. 3 ingredients. So you're gonna need some measuring cups and some measuring spoons to measure out those ingredients. You will need something to roll your cinnamon dough out on. Maybe some saran wrap would work, wax paper, aluminum foil would also work. You just can't see through it to see how thick it is, but you can keep checking. But that keeps it from sticking to your table or sticking to your rolling pin that you probably use for cookies and things like that. So you might not want cinnamon stuck to it, plus it makes it easier to roll. And then you will need a cookie cutter, or you could make your shape yourself freehand. Okay, you could use a toothpick, you could use a pencil. I wouldn't suggest using a knife unless you're having an adult help you, maybe a butter knife, one that's not sharp, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and get started. We need to use 1/2 of a cup of ground cinnamon. Now I have a set of measuring cups here. The largest one is 1 whole cup. So if I look, I can find one that looks about half the size of that, and it actually has the fraction on it, and it says 1/2 cup. It has a numerator, a number on top, a line under, and then a number on bottom, which is the denominator. So it's 1/2, which is 1/2. 1 is the numerator, 2 is the denominator in that fraction. So I'm just gonna pour some cinnamon in here, and I'm gonna do it slowly and carefully because it's very powdery and it'll make a big puff. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and pour that in. And then I need 1/3 of a cup of applesauce. So that's gonna be a little bit smaller than the 1/2 cup that I just used. And the fraction is gonna be 1/3. The numerator is 1, the number on the bottom is 3, that's the denominator. And that stands for 1/3 of a whole cup. So I'm gonna pour that applesauce in here, and I'm gonna pour that in my bowl. I might wanna use my spoon to scrape that. And then I need a tablespoon of white glue. Okay, so if you pull out your tablespoons, if they're in a set, it's probably the largest one, okay? If it says TSP, that's a teaspoon. If it says TBS or TBL, that's a tablespoon. So I'm gonna get the one that says 1 TBS, and that is my white glue. I'm gonna pour that in there and then scrape it out into my dough mixture, okay? Then, just like in the story, I'm gonna mix it up. I'm gonna put my lids on so I don't knock this over and make a mess. Okay, so in the story, they mixed and stirred and mixed and stirred. Okay. And you're gonna mix it till it resembles cookie dough, slightly sticky, and so that it doesn't crack when you put it all together in a ball, okay? All right, so you can see mine starting to stick together. It should look about like that. It gets darker when you mix the liquids with the ground cinnamon. Okay, so it's starting to make the shape of a ball. So I'm going to get my plastic wrap and my ball of dough. Okay, so I didn't have any plastic wrap, so I actually had a gallon zip bag. So all I did was cut that open, and I formed this ball. And I'm gonna put that in the center. Then I'm gonna use my rolling pin on the top of that, so I should be able to see it while I'm rolling it out. Now, You're gonna wanna roll it fairly thick, about 1/4 of an inch thick, because as this dries, what happens is the liquid or the water evaporates and dries, and when that happens, it actually makes it smaller, it shrinks a little bit. Okay, so as they dry, they shrink a little bit because they're losing the moisture that's in it through evaporation, okay? So I'm gonna get this all nice and rolled out. It's fairly thick, okay? So you can see I've rolled it out. All I'm gonna do is lift that saran wrap off the top of it, and then I'm gonna place my cookie cutter on it and make my shape. So I'm gonna put my cookie cutter down, I'm gonna push it straight down and make sure I go all the way through, and I'm gonna jiggle it a little bit so it comes off. And then I can peel the extra dough around it away. Okay, and then I'm gonna save that because I can roll that out again and I can make another one. You might be able to get 3 if they're kind of small. If you make big ones, you might not be able to get that many. But you should at least be able to get 2. So, as you can see, I have my gingerbread shape. Now, before I let it dry, I'm gonna wanna put a hole in it, okay? So, I would probably use a straw. I can't see where I put my straw right now. So I'm just gonna use the tip of my wooden spoon. Okay, I'm gonna put a hole at the top, not too close, because remember it's gonna shrink and you don't want that hole to break. But you need a hole so that you can hang it up. So I could put some ribbon through there maybe, and then I could use a hook. So you can see all I did was use the end of my spoon and I pushed it all the way through. I kind of twisted it so that it would go all the way through. Now, you could also make holes for eyes, or you could glue some googly eyes on, or use some other decorations, some beads, some sequins. But I'm gonna go ahead and make eyes, and I'm gonna make those go all the way through because I think that's kind of fun. I think it looks neat. You could also make some buttons this way, because sometimes if it's a gingerbread boy, they have buttons. So I'm gonna actually make buttons on mine the same way. And then when it dries, I can still decorate it some more, because we know gingerbread boys, just like gingerbread houses, have lots of candies and things like that on them. So I'm gonna go ahead and decorate it some more with some ribbon, maybe some paint. If you get the kind of paint that's like a puffy paint that's raised, you could put this and it would look like the frosting that they decorate it with. The lighter colored dough, you might be able to use regular paint, probably not watercolors, but maybe a tempera paint or an acrylic paint, and you could decorate them with some color as well that way. Okay, so I might put a little bow and glue it under his neck above those buttons and stick some ribbon through that top hole so that I could hang it on my tree or hang it someplace in my house for a festive Christmas decoration. Okay, so once you have that done, you're not going to want to decorate it yet. You have to wait till it dries. It could take 2 days, it could take 5, depending on how thick and how big yours is. So I'm going to leave it alone for a day. Tomorrow I'm going to flip it over to let the back dry. And then I'm going to flip it over again, because as it sits, the moisture tends to go back to the other side. So I'm going to flip it a couple of times and make sure it's dry. When it's dry, then I'm going to put my decorations on it, and I'm going to put the ribbon or a string through the hole and hang it on my tree, or wrap it up and give it to someone special. So I hope you had fun with this. Our stories are fabulous. I would like you to share those with somebody over the holiday break when they're finished. And so you should have a character to go along with your story, and a nice present, a nice ornament to give someone for Christmas. So have fun, and I would love to see pictures. So once you get these finished and they're all done and decorated, I would love to have a picture of your ornament to put with your story. Happy holidays. Enjoy.